Jessica Valenti has a book called He's a Stud, She's a Slut, and 49 Other Double Standards Every Woman Should Know. And she has 50 in here, and I'm going to read some of them because they seem obvious, but we sort of take it for granted. We accept a lot of double standards without thinking, okay? Here is something to think about. He's lucky, she's Lolita. When I was 16 years old, I met the hottest guy ever. He was 6'3", muscular, and had a tattoo on his arm. He was also 20. Not the ideal age, I admit, but Jason and I had a great time together. Looking back, though, I can say with certainty that I was much more mature than he was at the time. I was taking organic chemistry. He was applying to be on the real world, just saying. We had a decent year-long relationship that ended when his modeling acting career didn't take off, don't laugh, and he moved back home to upstate New York. A fairly normal romance? Actually, no. Under New York state law, Jason could have been arrested for statutory rape, even though our relationship was consensual. Fucked up for him? Absolutely. Men are prosecuted every year for statutory rape despite being in consensual relationships. That isn't to say I think there shouldn't be consent laws at all, but clearly something needs to change when innocent men are going to jail and young women are being told they don't have the right to have sex. Well, like a lot of sexism, this affects both men and women. The double standard in consent laws are mired in misogyny. Teenage girls who have sex can be either victims or whores. That's it. We're either poor little virginal things who were taken advantage of, or hot-to-trot victims who seduced our way through high school. Sounds like a Lifetime movie already. Men, on the other hand, are able to have sex whenever they want. Because unlike women, they like sex. Sigh. No one questions if they were taken advantage of. I mean, even in recent cases in the media where older female teachers had sex with young male students, there were comments about how lucky the boy was. The teen sex double standard is based on the antiquated and false notion that women don't like sex. Or at least we shouldn't. The problem for women with consent laws, and really anything to do with ideas surrounding teen sex, is that women are assumed to be victims simply because of our age. The logic is that we don't have the wherewithal to make up our own minds about sex. Now, do all girls have the emotional maturity to have a sexual relationship? Of course not, but plenty of teenagers do. Unfortunately, a lot of folks can't handle that. To be clear, I'm not talking about a 15-year-old dating some creepy 30-year-old. There's no doubt that with certain age differences, whether it's men or women who are older, there's a power dynamic that makes real informed consent almost impossible. But are we so invested in the idea of teen girls as little virginal angels that we can't be honest about their sexual desires? Young women can choose to have sex. They can choose not to. For too many people, that's just too much freedom for young women to have. And when we have laws that are based on the idea that young women couldn't possibly want to have sex, we have an issue. Because under this framework, when it's clear that young women are choosing to have sex, it means there's something wrong with them. They must be whores. Of course, there's way out of the virgin whore trap, marriage. The virgin whore complex is hard at work on this one. If you're married, you can have any kind of sex you want. Shit, if you're 13 years old and married in Kansas, your sex is legal. If you're 16 years old but unmarried, not so much. Which, of course, is the real point of all this nonsense, keeping young women pure, whatever that means. If we're married, no matter what our age or maturity level, somehow our sex is sanctioned. So at the end of the day, these laws and ideas about teen girls and sex aren't about keeping us safe. They aren't about protecting young women or caring about their well-being. They're about making sure girls remain chaste. So, what to do? Let's start by not judging young women on what their sexual lives are like. Let's not assume young women shouldn't want to have sex and that young men should. And instead of assuming that a young woman who is sexually active is somehow a victim or a slut, let's make no assumptions at all. Let's start talking about how to really talk to young women about sex. We're so caught up in the idea that teen girls are victims or vixens, we don't prepare them to be something in between. Informed, mature, aware young women. It's time to start doing just that.